Welcome to more World of Warplanes content from this channel, and in this video I'm going to take a look at one of the less popular aircraft in the game, the Tier 7 British Heavy, the DH-103 Hornet. As trailed in the video title, the Tier 7 British Heavy, the Hornet, doesn't seem to get a lot of love in World of Warplanes, and I guess the main reason for that is because as a heavy, it's lacking in airspeed, and most heavy players find this an obstacle to good play. However, there are compensations. It has four 20mm Hispano cannons, and it has an extensive ordnance layout. This means it's very good at knocking down enemy targets, and there is the option of pushing the aircraft into more of a multi-role role and taking out mining plants and important targets on the ground in strategic sectors. In this particular video you'll see a lot of use of the guns, not a great deal of use of the ordnance. However, there is one point where the use of the ordnance is absolutely critical and wins the battle. As you can see, as this is a Tier 7 aircraft, I haven't expended a great deal of effort in upgrading the equipment. Most of it is still at the improved level. I have, however, taken a piece of experimental equipment, the uprated engine, up to ultimate just to give me a little bit more speed. However, this is not a fully tricked out heavy by any manner of means, and yet you can still do very well in it, as I will demonstrate. So, taking a look at the battle, I've already said the military bases are strategically the most important, so my plan was to go to the nearest military base, clear out the heavies at the top, and then drop down and use my ordnance to destroy the special object. And with two 1,000-pound bombs on the Hornet, that would be easy to do. In addition, it's got the rockets, so I could take out another target if I wanted to. However, that isn't how it worked out, as you'll see in a moment. So I gain altitude, and as ever, even with an aircraft like this, which has multi-role capabilities in addition to its heavy status, I still aim to clear out the top. And I can see from this pattern that I'm going to be sized up at the heavy that's farthest away, so I swing towards that instead of shooting the one that's nearer. And as you can see, I was anticipated correctly. The heavy that was farthest away swung towards me and gave me an easy opportunity to shoot at him, whereas the other heavy flew past me. Having swung around behind the heavies, I now use the excellent cannons to try and knock them down, and at this point I noticed that an enemy heavy has flown into the sector, and it turns out to be a Japanese heavy. That's much more manoeuvrable than the Mosquito, but if the Mosquito's speed is lackluster, it's even more so for the Japanese heavy, so I'm able to fly away from him, and he turns off. That allows me to turn back and with luck engage him and knock him down. In fact, the air defence heavy becomes my first target. I destroy that, and then I do indeed work over the KI-102. And because I got his wing, I now will turn with him, having flown away from him the first time. Even so, it's tight, but I set him on fire, I swing round, and he blows up. And that flips the sector to us, and it's two sectors all. I haven't had to use my ordnance. It's critical we keep this sector, so I go to remove the ME-265 that's flying around. Below me. Cut this a little tight. I collect some branches from a tree, just avoid a mountain, and then turn back to finish off what I'd started. And there you see how good the Hispano 20mm cannons, four of them, can be. Made very short work of the ME-265, which has got a high hit point pool. By this time the enemy have taken control of the centre. My plan is to fly through the centre and take out any aircraft I could whilst proceed to the military base, but then I noticed both bombers. So I work on the bot bomber first, the PE-2, because it's nearer to me. But I'm keeping an eye on the map, and I'm now heading for the B-32. And this will be a very good aircraft to get out. Now the B-32 is heavily armed, but the Mosquito has these four cannons that I've mentioned, and as you can see, despite the fact that B-32 is giving me a hard time, I'm able to take him down quite easily. However, I've lost my engine, so all I can really do is glide towards the centre, wait for the engine to come back, and then try and proceed to the enemy military base, having done some work over the centre if opportunities arise. The engine comes back in. And I see that we have an aircraft proceeding towards the military base. It's a bomber. I don't want to lose the bomber, so instead of working at the centre, which our military base is shooting at anyway, I chase after the J4M to see if I can save the bomber. It's a long chase, and this is where the speed of the Mosquito, or lack of it, becomes evident. And in fact, a Hornet bot flies towards me. I ignore him for the moment since I've badly damaged him, and I work over the J4M. The Hornet has continued to fly off, so I'm free to take pot shots at the enemy air defence heavies. Checking the pattern, I can see I'm safe to shoot this one, and I begin to take him down. And very quickly he goes under the power of the cannons, and that's when I spot the enemy Spitfire coming towards me. And this is a bad mistake by the enemy player. He's already badly damaged, and he flies straight at a heavy in a Spitfire. Easy kill. And that means I only need one aircraft, or one ground target to flip this base. Trying to manoeuvre to get the enemy heavy, and as I do that, my team takes the base anyway. And since I'm about to be engaged by a multi-role, I turn towards to face him. Another head-on attack, which the Typhoon doesn't enjoy very much. I choose to fly away from him. The Spitfire comes into view again. This time I can't really get any shots on him. Unfortunately, even if this isn't a fast heavy, if I engage my engine cooling for 10 extra seconds of boost, I can still get away from the Spitfire, as it turns out, that's turned towards me. The Typhoon is busy fighting in space, and this is good news. The Spitfire is doing nothing useful, chasing me. He can't catch me up, he can't take a sector, he can't defend a sector, and this is helping us. And that was the tail of a cat that just went across the video, but I'll let that stay in. This is Rosie. I get to the garrison, and shooting down one enemy fighter is enough to flip the base, and we look like we're in a very good situation. The enemy Spitfire falls to one of the two aircraft that were already in this base. An F4U flies obligingly in front of me, and then does the wheeling circle spiral of death, as I call it, whilst I shoot him down. J4M presents himself as a target of opportunity. I apologise for that interference. Rosie the cat is determined to make a contribution. I'm being chased by 3 aircraft, and I'm just going to try and drag them out. If they're chasing me, they can't flip the base. Well, the only enemy sector there is at the moment is the garrison, and even though both military bases are shooting at it, I proceed there to see if I can get some work done. And there you see our local military base has been captured by the enemy, and that's an example of the military bases ping-ponging between the teams. As I arrive at the garrison, unfortunately it's captured. I head towards the military base. Still very confident at this point, although the scores are relatively level, but the situation soon changes. One garrison flips to the enemy. I see an enemy bomber. It's the B-32. This is a good aircraft to take out, as the scoreline has now arrived. He's a long way away, even though he looks massive. I take a slightly oblique approach to try and discourage any shots. He's concentrating on bombing, and now another sector has flipped to the enemy. Finally get within range, and I set my Hispanos to work. Very quickly the B-32 goes down. And that's the end of his game, and probably a good job too, given the way that the game develops. Now, I hadn't really noticed at this point that our military base that we were holding in the far corner was under severe threat. I should have known that simply because of its position, and it goes down. Fortunately, I'm able to remove the Spitfire. Maguire medal goes through, 400 capture points for a heavy in a single sortie. An F4U makes exactly the same move as the Spitfire. That gives me the Hero of the Sky. I'm able to chase down the J4M. But I'm acutely conscious that the enemy has 4 bases. To R1, I don't chase the J4M, I continue heading towards our local military base. The Winged Legend notification just went through. The resilience icon came up showing that my aircraft is now improved because it's lost 70% of its hit points, and here is where I use the ordnance to perfect effect. The 2 1,000-pound bombs, I probably only needed one here, but I wanted to be absolutely certain. I drop them both at the special object, and I take the military base. And that was key. Without that military base, this game would almost certainly have ended in defeat. So, albeit it's only once in the game, you can see that the ordnance on the Mosquito was absolutely critical for the successful outcome of this battle. Many people, in order to try and get speed on the Hornet, will remove the ordnance. It's definitely not what I like to do. So towards the end of this battle, I work over the KO-102 and get him just before we get the victory. And there we have a decent haul of medals and a rather nice personal points tally. And as you can see, the Hornet can be very effective both in terms of gunnery and in terms of ordnance. Let's take a look at the result of this battle, and as we can see, it's a 5 chevron battle, the best result for a heavy fighter, grade 1. 136,524 credits, or silver if you prefer, with bonuses, premium account, and the ×3 first win of the day in this case. If we go to the message box, we can see there were no expenses because the aircraft wasn't shot down, no repairs, and I used prepaid consumables. 7,952 experience with bonuses, 397 free experience with a premium account bonus, and 4 tokens. These were all for first medals of the day, namely the Maguire, the McCampbell, the Hero of the Sky, and Winged Legend. Going to the personal score tab, we see that not all of the class-specific missions were complete. This one in particular needed some work. However, you don't need to entirely complete them in order to get 5 chevrons, and that's what happened here. 17,190 points. 4 sectors captured, showing that I put the aircraft about the map, as you should in a Hornet if you can. 16 aerial targets destroyed. 7,691 damage to aerial targets. 26 critical hits with the 4 Hispano 20mm cannons. Capture points 520, and that was split as follows. Very much in favour of attacking, as it should be, if you can. 480 points for attacking and only 40 for defending. 1 extremely critical ground target destroyed for 2,348. Team score, we can see that unsurprisingly was enough for first place. I'm sure Hellenic Eagle in his Tornado learned something from his battle. On the enemy team, the Tier 6 Spitfire 5 DB605 made a good effort, a decent contribution from the B-32, but not enough to swing the battle in the favour of the enemy team. So there you have it. Whilst the Hornet may not be a classic heavy, owing to its lack of speed, the good ordnance and the great cannons mean that it is a versatile aircraft. It can perform something of the role of a multi-role aircraft, as you saw in that battle, and the cannons certainly made short work of most of the enemies that got in front of it. I hope you found something interesting in this video, and if you did, that you'll come back and see my future content. But until then, this is the Noble Q, aka Royal Flying Corps, signing out.